Hey guys, this will be video 14 for the how to design build a custom Sparkle Flying V and using Stuart McDonald templates. And I'm going to do the best I can to not do too many videos, but the more I think about this guitar, there's so many different directions it can go because of the platform, where it is right now. So I think I would do it a grave injustice to not talk about taking it a little bit further in the rock and roll direction. And I cut some little blocks that I can drop down in the pickup cavities, and I'm going to fully dress it as if we were going to load it with filtertrons and possibly do the B5 Bigsby. So I think by the time this video is over, we're going to talk about coil tapping a little bit and additional wiring and how it was that I designed this guitar to be so versatile as far as from an electronic standpoint, but also with this rock and roll sparkle top, it could go in the realm of the Gretsch-esque world. So I think she's a really versatile platform and and deserves a lot more than just a couple of 30-minute videos. So speaking of that, if you're just joining the crowd, uh, if you go to video 12 and video 13, that's where I start talking about this guitar from the mindset of she's on the auction block, it's getting ready to be sold. So let's talk about the direction this guitar can go, and how I'm holding myself back, not doing any machining, so that the future owner really ends up getting a custom built guitar, because by the time, and it should be at a really good price, so, or a really fair price, and for everyone, I think I'll do well as well. And so, on that note, I think this is going to be an awesome deal because I'm really bridling myself and not just building it the way I would want to build it. So on that note, let's dive right in and let's talk about rock and roll. This I went ahead and set it up a little bit cleaner, and I found these barrel knobs. I drilled these out 1/4 inch so I can use them for mock-up, but they're just little knobs I got from Guitar Center. And can I stand it up? I want to see if I can hold it up, but these it's going to be really frustrating. I can't tip it too much because the our faux EMGs will slide off the side of the guitar. So that's about as far as I can go right there. So I'll give her a little bit of a whirl so that you could see what your guitar would look like if you're the player and you're on stage and you got barrel knobs. And if you want to know the truth, I love the barrel knobs. They're so much more functional to me, but they also look great. But I'm going to set her back down because I don't want it to fall apart in relation to where I originally had it. But okay, so let me get myself back on point. If we're considering EMGs, that means we're considering active pickups. So the whole idea, and I'll show it with the template, and I'll flip the guitar over in a little while because we're gonna talk about the control cover and machining that in the latter part of the video. But this is the mold. This is the template that I finally finalized and epoxied everything into the correct location. But this being the control cavity, if we're looking at it from the back, and you have your three-way control right here, it's three-way control right here, and typically you have volume, volume, and tone. Well, I left all of this real estate down here open in order to allow you to do DP/DT switching, and or a 9-volt battery for the active pickup configuration. So I didn't get to talk about that too much in the last video, basically because I just forgot. But also, when we're talking about this output jack right here, the way that was installed is when the guitar was in the initial stages of construction, I drilled through the side of the body and drilled on a real long angle right there with a 3/16" drill bit all the way over and caught the uh, output jack cavity, whatever you want to call that, from a hole. So there's no routing in here. Down this body corner, there's no like Les Paul 45-degree routing. Because as I mentioned, I like to leave as much body wood in the guitars as possible. So that's a real clean, sweet route. And when I flip it over and we talk about this control cavity later on, I'll try to remember to talk about that and even pull the wires out. But it's designed so that you could come in and do your DPDT switching right there. You could put one switch here, and this is kind of old school. It's the manual. It's just a three-way toggle, but it is definitely configured for doing series, split, and parallel. And if I'm not mistaken, series would be in the up position, or I could wire it the other way. I shouldn't have said that because I really don't want to fool with that. But the ones that I've done in the past, you could put it either way, but typically up is series, and that's your traditional humbucker. In the middle, it would be split, and then you're only running one. And then at the bottom is Oral Bliss and the ethereal sound of a parallel setup. That is off the charts, unbelievable. And this guitar, I didn't really want to talk about. I'll show it briefly. That's what this design is. And I'll talk about this briefly. Why? Because you could run this, you could wire this guitar identical to that. Your three-way is right here. Your volume for the neck, your volume for the bridge, and your master tone. And then you have a DPDT switch right here that would run the neck pickup in. If it's all the way forward, then that's traditional series. That's your traditional pickup. If it's in the middle, then it's split. And then if you toggle down, now it's parallel. So you're able to run that guitar, that neck pickup in parallel. Repeat and rinse. Same thing for the humbucker. So if you got your volume for the neck pickup right there and the volume for the bridge pickup right here, your command center controls are easily accessible, yet out of the way from a reaching down from, let's turn it from a player's standpoint, and like crashing into anything. I spent a lot of just so much time making certain that the location of this everything would be as far out of the way as possible. Unless you're just a really madman type player, I don't think you're going to run into any issues crashing into anything. So, again, spent an enormous amount of time with this whole design layout, and the fact that this one is a hollow body, it's a completely different, approach to get. God, I keep hitting that light. It's a completely different approach to get to that animal. So let me put that back on the table. Okay, so there you have it. So you're able to do series, split, parallel on both pickups. You got plenty of room right there. Or you could do like the guy did on Flying V number, this is number 7. He did it on number 6. We did a master volume and a master tone, and we put the kill switch right there. And so, and that guitar is actually in the eBay listing. It's one of the guitars. It's the one that has the hardtail on it. That was Flying V number 6. Flying V number 5 is the one that is shown with the Black Floyd Rose. That's Flying V number 5. And since we're talking, I'll put that right there. Since we're talking about the whole EMG rock and roll S thing, I think I would do it a grave injustice if I didn't talk about the possibility of this thing being routed for the Floyd Rose. Again, that's why none of this work has been done, because I don't think anybody could say that, it's not really the guitar I want. Well, if it's not, then we can sure take it in that direction, is what I'm saying. Like now the Floyd Rose work, I couldn't do that for free. But according to where the guitar sells, this is kind of hard. It's kind of hard to predict because, I mean, if the guitar sold for you know, I'm just going to say a fair sell price. And I think we're all, you know, mature enough to know what's roughly a fair sell price. If it sells for a really fair sell price and we're all happy that we got a fairly good deal, I got a good deal selling it, you got a good deal buying it. Uh, if you catch me on a good day, I'll do the Floyd Rose work, the machine work. I'll do the machine work for roughly near no charge. I won't do it for free, but if this thing blows out and I lose my ass on it, which we all know what that feels like. I'm not doing Floyd Rose work for free. So, and I think that's not. I'm not coming off as a jerk. I hope I'm not. I hope I don't sound like I am. So, on that note, let's get back to rock and roll, and we'll talk about Floyd Rose in a little while. But it could be installed, and we talked about EMGs, we talked about active, we talked about passive. Uh, this is called the electro socket jack. I am that is going to be here Monday. It makes me so sick. I thought I was supposed to get it today. It might show up tomorrow. If it is, then I'll be installing that. It is black aluminum, and it will be supporting a nickel switchcraft mono output jack. Okay, and all that will be wired, soldered, and everything over to the control cavity. If you didn't like that, then that's no big deal. You just leave it dead and leave the wire dead in there or disconnect it. But that way, that'll have that finished out in the event you ever turn this thing into a stereo guitar, because you could do a stereo. Uh, I think it's called a tip ring TRS. Is that right? Tip ring sleeve. In other words, it would. This is a mono right there, but you could run a stereo uh, output jack, and the hole that I drilled across there. The reason I brought that up, talking about that, it is sufficient diameter to allow for two wires to go through. What does that mean? This guitar could be set up as a stereo guitar, and you could run a um, whatever the the stereo output jack is. And this, I know this is the tip and that's the sleeve, so I guess it's a TRS. It's a tip and then a ring and then the sleeve. That would be stereo. You should know that stuff, but I haven't done a stereo guitar in a long time. So all right, so let me reel myself back in. What are we, 12 13 minutes? Yes, a lot of information there. Let me think about what I want to talk about. uh, all I can do with the Floyd Rose is, because I think we talked about the EMGs enough, and I think I spun it around a little bit for you to get a good view of it. I bought this little cheap knockoff Floyd just for the visual. Let me see if I got a pencil eraser. I'll just stick a pencil eraser under there. This would probably be a little bit high, but this is basically what the Floyd Rose would look like on the gold with the black barrel knobs. And, that'll give you a good idea. So I'm going to go through this fairly quickly. But again, with this video, I just want to do some mock-up so you can kind of get a feel for, if you built your guitar as a, full-blown, rock and roll guitar. And again, this is like a $30 Floyd, but just, if you want to bask in that, that'll kind of give you an idea of what an authentic the OFR would look like, because this is a Germany. This is the made in Germany. It's got the fat brass block. Not selling this. Took me forever to find this one as clean as it is. But nonetheless, that ought to give you some encouragement to think about the possibility of doing, a multi-$100 Floyd Rose on this guitar. And as I mentioned earlier, if this guitar sells for a really fair price, absolutely, man, I'd love to work with any of you guys to end up with almost your dream guitar. And you have to keep in mind, some of the guys let me see if I left that up there long enough. Some of the guys that I met up in Nashville and still communicate with on a small basis, these are touring musicians, and they want a guitar that's absolutely incredibly flashy, but is also equipped with a phenomenal Floyd Rose, they wouldn't be running something like that. That's just for visual. But this guitar is definitely capable of being an incredibly trustworthy performing guitar, as well as looking really good as well. So definitely getting a little bit long-winded here. So let me see if I talked about the Floyd and the EMGs enough, and I think so. So now let's talk about stripping it down and turning it into more along the lines of like a Gretsch-esque inspired Flying V. So what I'm going to do, let me check the time. 15 minutes. I'm going to do this real time and kind of go through this as quick as possible and just stop talking. Now you see the benefit of using like these little paper plates, and these are the Gibson rings. I think I've already talked about that. Those are authentic Gibson rings. So talk about this briefly. You could do a Floyd Rose nut on this, but it will cantilever just a little bit. So real time. What are we doing here? All right, drop in the neck block. Well, it swelled up. There it is. The bridge block. Because when I was watching the video from last night, video, I guess I think this is video 14. Whatever video it was last night. I think it was video 13. I just didn't do the Filtertron layout any justice at all. Now, on this note, I will have to, or based on this one, I'm going to go ahead and just do the hardtail first, because not everybody likes a Bigsby. And I completely get it. This is what I was talking about last night. Let me get some of this crap off the side table here, so there's not a whole bunch of stuff in the peripheral. Okay, sorry about that. Let me check the camera, see where we are. That looks really good. Now, I've done enough of the Filtertron installations, and I've even designed guitars around the Filtertrons and the Bigsby that that's about the height that the neck pickup would be, because well, I'm really close to not being organized. If you lay a straight edge across the top of that middle and across that, even though it doesn't have the frets on it, that's roughly where the height of the Filtertrons would be. So you see a little bit of Filtertron coming out of the body up front, and you see a little bit more coming out of the back, the bridge location, and that's about exactly where it would be, because I actually even looked under the straight edge and I said, yeah, that's roughly the 3/16 of an inch clearance and all that jazz. So that's what it would look like as a, I'm sorry, let me slow down in case you want to snap a photo. Okay, now let's put a Bigsby on it. Before we do the Bigsby, let's do the antique, the relic. Yeah, helps. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even have any knobs on there. Let me back up and punt. You could run the. I've got the Gretsch knobs, but I'm not going to show it. You guys, if you're into that, you know exactly what a Gretsch knob would look like. I do have some vintage gold Gretsch knobs, but I think the barrel with the Filtertrons would actually be fairly cool. Okay, that's a really beautiful guitar, and not only would it be beautiful, it would sound absolutely amazing, because the antique pine is going to sound along the lines of like a carina. It's a very clear, very articulate wood, and it just is. So it's not muddy at all. And you saw the weight analysis. I've got some little black marks up here that show me exactly where the machine work would be, and that's basically exactly where I think I can tip this one a little bit. Is anything else? Yeah, this Filtertrons might slide a little bit, but that's exactly where the B5 would be. Okay, and it gives you that little happy face up there, and it's just really attractive. You could strap a B7 on there, but I think that's kind of silly. I shouldn't have said that because to each his own. Well, Lonnie Mac did it. Is that his name? And it worked out for him. So, but I think it's too much. And from a standpoint of weight, you could go online and get a weight analysis of the Vibramate as well as a weight analysis of the B5, and then add that to the numbers I gave you in video 13. Okay, so you see how this platform can go in just a myriad of directions and produce an incredible little guitar. And would I do the black with a black tip? I probably would do the Oh wow, I have no idea where it is, but I'm gonna take a chance and see if I can find it. I would probably do the cream tip if I can find it. Yeah, here it is. Maybe, maybe not. So it is what it is, but the cream looks good as well as the black. I'm gonna go ahead and put the black back on just because I'm going to be leaving these barrel knobs on here throughout the rest. Well, through the rest of this video. Let me pause and find that little cricket. Okay, so going once, going twice. All right, let's get rid of that. And let me strip it down so I can flip the guitar over. That way we can talk about the control cavity a little bit. Okay, so I don't think there's anything to show up here. One thing I will show, I haven't done anything additional up here, but let me show you this briefly, what this overlay is going, what this headstock is going to look like. Because I did work on this one a little bit more today, and as you saw, I have that one buffed out. This one's about 2 or 3 more clear coats away from being buffed out, but that's what the truss rod access will look like. You'll see the Honduran. Is that mahogany? Yeah, that's mahogany. That's again. These necks are. No, I'm sorry. This is from a different wood. You'll see the Honduran mahogany in the bottom, and it is a one-piece neck, so you won't see any glue-up lines, but then you'll see the maple overlay, and then you'll see the black. Because I was watching a video of Pete Thorne and Tim Pierce the other day, and Tim Pierce was talking about how he doesn't even put his truss rod cover on the guitars because he's traveling from different climates, and he can just reach up and adjust the neck. He needs access. And I've often thought that I don't like the truss rod cover because if you do need to adjust it, you'll have to look for the Phillips head's little screwdriver and then your truss rod wrench. Where if you just build a beautiful guitar, you might could just leave that truss rod cover off and it be kind of a design element of the guitar. So let me look at my list here. We talked about EMG's active passive 9-volt batteries. There's room for 9-volt battery storage in the box. We talked about Filtertrons with a hardtail or a B5 Bigsby. And I talked about machining the antique pine control cover. I did not, but I said we're going to do that, or I'm going to do that tonight. I'm not going to do it on video. It's boring. That's boring, boring, boring. But I don't think she's going to fall apart if I do anything. All right. So as I clarified, now I've lost it. Now here's a little tricky. This is 7/16 of an inch thick right there. It's massive. It's really, really thick. So if you did elect to go with your DPD switching, wherever you install that switch, and I'll provide you with a template tracing of all of my engineered locations that worked for me, and that might be a really good start point for you. But these DPD T switches are so shallow right here, you'll have to drill. Or if you said, yeah, could you drill those for me? I'll drill those for no charge. But I'll also have to drill a stepped uh, um, shelf. I'll have to drill a shelf similar to that right there so that this little thing will go down and actually, come through the top of the body properly. Okay. So we've done a lot of those, so I know how to do that. But I prefer to leave it undrilled, so that if someone's just wanted to do a traditional, um, pick your poison, lay it out however you want. But anyway, I guess it would be time to start talking about the control cavity cover a little bit and how it has actually a tap tone, because I've already talked about how I would actually be doing multiple fastener locations. Let me think, probably 2 right there, probably 3 right there, probably 4 down through here, if not 5. I don't know if there would be 1 down here, but somewhere in the 8 to 10 range where it's truly reconnecting this quarter sawn pine. This is more of a ripped sawn, but it is from the antique stuff. And I'm actually going to give you the tap tone here in a moment. So it would be going in like that, and then obviously painted black. But on the inside, I probably will do it clear so that you can actually see that, hey, yeah, he really did do the antique pine. And there's some little nail holes from probably the 1800s. Okay, so I guess I'll leave that turned over like that and show just how sexy she is. Beautiful guitar, and it's really cool, as I've mentioned in one of the videos, where you're happy with your build when you start grieving a little bit, knowing that it's gonna. Let me see if I can put it somewhere. That looks okay. When it's about to ship, and you're kind of dreading seeing it go. This is how you find a tap tone. You would basically put your thumb right in that area and right in that area right there, and then you're looking for, you're trying to find the prettiness of the wood. And I'm just going to have to do this. Yeah, I found it a few times there. You could hear the real clear dong 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 dong. It's actually a note. And as you're carving an archtop jazz guitar, as you start carving away, that note starts getting deeper and deeper. It starts dropping, and it's amazing to hear like an archtop or a back come alive. And then that's where you like tune the top to more so the sensitivity than a particular note. As Benedetto said in his video series, you're just looking for clarity. And you can achieve clarity with a plain sewn or a ripped sewn or a pure quarter sewn. They're all going to be carved different thicknesses in order to achieve, just a clear, pure note. Drop the potentiometer. So, and then basically all you're doing when you're doing this stuff, you're just in the world of making various templates to get the job done. And that represents the internal, the actual inside of the cavity. This actually is the actual cover. So, and all that was done with a large router bit. So what I'm about to be doing is you know, routing all that out and then beginning to apply multiple coats of nitrocellulose lacquer, and that's roughly, see, this is a paint shield that protected all that antique pine, and that'll give you an idea of what the guitar will look like, and it'll just be, it'll probably look like a P51 Mustang cowling, where it'll have all these fastener locations, so it should look really good. But I'll make certain that everything's very symmetrical. So, and that potentiometer, that three-way will be determined upon what we elect to go with once the auction sells. I still have not ordered that yet, so I will be ordering that as soon as the winning bidder lets me know what it is they want. But I prefer to go with the. If you want to know the truth, I would really recommend going with the three-way nickel switchcraft short toggle. If you prefer something different, you have to keep in mind this body is machined to receive the switchcraft. If you're going to go with something different, it might really screw up the design. And these are tried and true. And I may have mentioned, but see, this is designed where you could have that go more on a vertical line, or you could if you really want it to go straight up and down, which I don't know anybody that does that, you could change that location just by turning it a little bit, and that it's going to be fairly close right there, but it's still nonetheless, from a player standpoint, that was always really incredible, just the access right there. So all right, geeking out a little bit too much, so let me check the time. Probably will end the video very quickly here, and as I do in all my videos, let me just run through my point list. Let me pause, get cleaned up a little bit, get organized, and I'll think about how I want to end the video. Okay, we should be able to finish the video fairly quickly. I think this is the only configuration that I have not shown yet, where you would be with these. These are Seymour Duncan, by the way. Obviously, as I've mentioned, they're not included, nor are these pickup rings included. But I will include, I have to kind of repeat myself here because I know there's people that are coming to see this video that probably might not watch video 13 or 12 or even the ones before that. I'll include these for free, but these are not included. But I'll shoot straight with you. I think the parchment is really incredible. Now, what I'm going to show you next is, let me do this. I didn't give the speed knobs the time of day, but I can't get them to fit on there. So I'll just do that, and that'll give you an idea of what the speed knobs would look like on the body. They're not that bad, and they're just, I don't like them. To me, they're too big. But I don't want to start crushing these knobs because I didn't have very good luck trying to put them on one day. And there's something weird. Well, obviously, because these are probably metric. They were probably, that's probably what it is. But nonetheless, that'll give you an idea what the speed knobs would look like. Out of sight, out of mind. Let me go back with the barrel. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. This is the configuration that I had shown in most all the early videos. So since since I haven't shown this configuration in this video, no one could say that, hey, I never saw that layout. Why didn't you show that? Well, because it was in video 12. So the only thing that's different is the black tip rather than the cream, but you're going to have to let your imagination go with you because I don't want this to turn into an hour-long video if I can control that. So unless that cream tip is sitting in front of me, which it's not. And here's something you would want to consider. I had mentioned this doesn't interfere with the sitting down playability at all. It really doesn't. I don't know how to clarify that, but if you did worry about that, you don't have to go with the large head 90 degree. You could go with the flat head 90 degree, the real low profile. Oh, there's a bug in here. You could go with the really low profile one if you wanted to. So, sorry, I got my hand in the way. But basically, that's about, and because of the electro socket recessed jack, it allows the jack plate, it goes in much deeper. It doesn't stick out here. It's put this into perspective. This is just almost kissing the body of the guitar. It's almost burying out. And see, then it comes back here as you see in the pictures, and it locks behind your strap, the guitar strap, and then this will go to your wireless pack for you performing guys out there. And I really do hope this guitar goes to someone who's performing and can enjoy the actual guitar. So let me see if I can get these off. I'm going to put the barrel knobs back in there because I want to end with that. I do think the barrel knobs look really good with the Seymour Duncan, the Zebra. But you may not like it. So if you haven't seen a configuration that you might like, then I don't have the parts for it. Because in other words, like if you wanted to see it with Dynasonic pickups, Dear Mine Dynasonics, I don't have any. But that would be, you could peel the paint off the wall with a pair of Dynasonics. I love that pickup. That's an incredible pickup. I used to own some of the vintage ones, and then it got to the point where they ended up being like $1,500 a pair, and I can't. They're really not really achievable anymore unless you you know can afford that. And most of us can't. I won't say that we can't afford it, but we can't really justify it. So that should be a good picture to close on, and I didn't really spend any time talking about the lacquer on the back of the neck, but I hope you saw it when I flipped it over. I'm going to do a very quick recap here. Down the center line of this guitar, it is basically a 1959 Les Paul burst. This is an authentic 59 burst. So all of the engineering and the layout of this guitar right down the middle, it is these, and I have the P90 as well if we wanted to change that. But down the middle of this guitar, it's a 58 Carina Flying V. It's basically identical as far as the layout of everything. I'm a little bit, I gotta tell you, I'm pretty close. I'm pretty close in these widths and dimensions, but I'm not quite as flat right here, which I covered in video 12. I don't want to start talking about that again. Mine are a little bit more graceful, but I think they're really beautiful. But down the middle of this guitar, it's a vintage replica all day long. My control cavity is different, but these locations right here are very much within probably a 16th of an inch of the corner of that or the corner of that location. The location of this three-way is virtually identical to everything that I saw in the pictures, how it's just forward of the center of that location there. And this is just aft of that location, and the alignment, you name it. If you were to sight down this a vintage guitar, these locations are so close to a 1958. It's probably funny. So, and I've never held a 58 Flying V. So I'm gonna stop talking. I appreciate you guys dropping in. I'll try to not overload everyone with video after video after video, unless I really feel like I've got something to talk about. And I think this was the last video that I will be doing any mock-up. So from here on out, I'll be pulling actually probably tonight, I'll be pulling the paper on that and prepping the fretboard for frets, as I'm still holding off to see if anybody might be screaming, "Oh no, don't touch the frets, don't touch the frets," because I have to have this or I have to have that. So I'm going to try to be as patient as I can and hold off on that. But if I don't hear from anybody, I probably will do the frets Saturday night or either Sunday sometime. And then, because I have to keep in mind that I need those pictures for my listing as well. So again, thanks for dropping in, guys. I appreciate it. If you got any questions or comments, let me know, and we'll go from there. Thanks.